Tap upkeep. And welcome back to the channel if you've been here before, and if you haven't, then please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show we have for you today. So for today, we are actually going to look at the brand new announcement that has come out, and if you've been anywhere on the internet for Magic the Gathering and Commander related content, you've probably already seen it. A new system to kind of gauge how strong or powerful your deck is has just come out thanks to one of the leading forces behind everything, Gavin Verhey. And we jumped straight to the actual wizardsofthecoast.com to read about this article in real-time view, and we'll see what actually has going on. We're not going to read the whole thing because it is quite lengthy and I don't want to take up that much of your time, but I will link this to the description below at the end of the video, and we will see what everybody thinks about it. So they have tentatively come up with something they're going to call the Commander Brackets. There's 1 through 5, and we have a brief description about what each bracket is and um, what exactly it entails. So let's jump into it, shall we? So number 1, your first tier bracket is going to be labeled number 1, and that's the bottom of the barrel. So I expect for many people who play Commander, nothing will change. You can continue to play with friends as you always have without digging into the system, and that's totally fine. Tons of regular play groups have figured out what works well for them, which is great. Blah blah blah. So there's 1 through 5, and he's talking about how in just you can still use the rule 0, which is always advised when you're playing Commander, because you don't want to just sit down with some like weird themed or homebrew that uh, can be kind of janky, or is like a slightly upgraded precon against like a CDH table. I mean, you might hold your own, but generally CDH is like no holds bar, and people are dead by turn 4 usually. So now here lately they've been going a lot further thanks to the banning that happened a handful of months ago, but still, you don't want to sit down at that kind of table and have to deal with that. It's just not fun. So they're introducing this bracket system because, as you can see right here, it says one thing Commander has lacked is a good way to discuss what kind of game you're wanting to play, and this helps provide an additional terminology, if you will. So a Rule 0 still exists, and you're certainly welcome to say, hey, I'm in a bracket 2, except for this one thing. Is that okay with everybody? And having that conversation is great. So part of their caveat to the bracket system is um, there's like what they're calling like game changer cards, and like you could be a tier 2 or a bracket 2 deck and still have like one game changer card that they're listing, and you can mention that to your play group. Maybe you opened up a really cool extra turn spell or something, and you're like, hey, I got an extra turn spell, and it's the only one I got. I just kind of want to throw it in here. Is that cool? Most people like myself, we don't really care. We're just here to have fun, and um, well, the reason I play Magic, turn my brain off. I'm not here to be competitive. If I'm in a tournament and I win, great. Otherwise, guys, I'm just here to turn my brain off. I go to work all the time. I just want to turn the brain off and enjoy good vibes and good people. This is not really a system. There are some bad actors that will lie and play mismatched, and there's nothing anybody can do about that. But as long as you're honest with yourself and your deck, you have a very good chance of having a very fun and exciting game experience. This is also just a beta test. This is them kind of testing the waters, trying to see what is actually going to work and what's not. So they're going to be looking for some critical feedback. So comment on my channel, please, with any kind of feedback you have about it, as well as any other content creator that you watch for Commander related content, please, 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 please comment and um, let them know what you actually think about this, because I'm a little sketch about it, but we got some things to work out and we'll see. We'll dive deep down into the actual Commander bracket overview right now in this section. So they say there are 5 Commander brackets. Each one is meant to classify a different kind of gaming experience. Brackets 1, 2, and 3 are different levels of socially focused play. You know, we're not really like looking to nuke the battlefield and win ASAP. This is more of a like tabletop battle cruiser kind of thing. You know, where games are like turn 8 plus probably. Brackets 4 and 5 are way more focused and higher power, or even the competitive experience. In each bracket description, you will find a guide for around 4 kinds of effects that can really impact your games. 2-card infinite combos, extra turns, mass land destruction or denial, technically, and tutors for things other than lands, noting where and how you should expect to see them. So he goes on to say, for a little bit of additional definition around mass land denial, this category of card that most Commander players find very, very frustrating. So to emphasize it up front, you should not expect to see these cards anywhere in brackets 1 through 3. So you should not be worried about like anything like an old card called Armageddon, which destroys all lands on the battlefield. You shouldn't have to worry about seeing that in anybody that's being honest and playing in a fair bracket or tier. If tier sounds better to me than a bracket, but maybe they'll fix that. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But they actually go on to mention that here. So these cards regularly destroy, exile, or bounce other lands, keeping lands tapped, or change what mana is produced by 4 or more lands per player without replacing them. Examples of the category are the following: Armageddon, which I just mentioned. Whoops, don't do that. Saying you can actually do that. I don't know if you know you can do this, but you can kind of highlight over the cards right here. So we have Armageddon, which destroys all lands. Ruination, destroy all non-basic lands. Sunder, return all lands to their owner's hands. The Winter Orb, which is as long as it's untapped, a player cannot untap more than 1 land during their untap step. And then finally, things that lock out colors, such as the Blood Moon, where all non-basic lands are mountains. That's not in addition to their other type, they are just straight up mountains. So your Triome, your Shockland, even your Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. Nope, it's a basic mountain now. Enjoy. And they go on to say, basically any cards and common game plans that mess with several of a person's lands or mana they produce should not be in your deck if you're seeking to play in, again, I'm going to call it tiers because it sounds better to me, tiers 1 through 3. Additionally, you'll also see some references to Game Changer list. This is a new small list of cards we'll share at the end of these brackets to refer to, and are cards targeted at higher bracket play. So let's see what our brackets are breaking down as. So our first bracket is Exhibition. It's your ultra casual commander deck. No mass land denial or extra turns, no 2-card infinite combos, no game changers, and a few tutors. Your next bracket is going to be 2, which is core. And then it's the average current pre-constructed deck with no mass land denial, no extra turns, no 2-card infinite, no game changers, and a few tutors. And then we step it up to what most players are probably sitting at, which is a 2 to a 3. So upgraded beyond the strength of an average precon deck. No mass land denial, no chaining extra turns. There are some late game 2-card infinite combos and 3 game changer cards are in the deck. Oh my. And then we have Optimized, which is you're knocking on the door of full power here at level 4. High power commander, it's time to go wild. There are no restrictions other than the ban list. And then finally we have maximum full power, tier 5, CEDH. High power with a very competitive and metagame focused mindset, meaning you are going for the kill and you don't care. You understand what you're sitting down for, and you understand how the game could end. You understand there could be hand denial, land denial. You understand there could be swaths of counter spells. So you know what you're signing up for when you sit at this table, and deal with it. So let's get into a little bit more in depth of what we got here. So our experience with the exhibition or tier 1 is throw down your ultra casual commander deck. Winning is not the primary goal here, as it's more about showing off something unusual you've made. Villains yelling in the art, everything has the number 4, oops, all horses. Those are all fair game. The games are likely to go very, very long and end very, very slowly. Just focus on having fun and enjoying what the table has brought. So that's kind of the gist behind it. If you've ever seen Commander Versus, a gentleman on there by the name of Stephen Green became wildly famous for um, doing really weird decks like this, and they actually work okay. He has Ladies Looking Left, and more importantly, he has the chair deck, where every card, I think except for the lands, had a picture of a chair somewhere in the art, and it was hilarious to watch this. So those kind of decks, those wonky decks, would fit in this category. This is where a lot of mine like to sit is Core 2 or a Tier 2. The easiest reference point is that the average current pre-constructed deck is at a core or bracket level 2. While bracket 2 decks may not have every perfect card, they have the potential for big splashy turns, strong engines, and are built in a way that works towards winning the game. While the game is unlikely to end out of nowhere and generally goes 9 or more turns, you can expect big swings. The deck usually has some cards that aren't perfect from a gameplay perspective, but they are there for flavor reasons or just because they bring a smile to your face. I mean, come on. So, again, they go into a little bit of what you could typically see from the deck building. You're probably running a couple of the cheaper tutors, or maybe you ripped open a Vampiric tutor from Dominaria Remastered or something, and maybe you threw it in the deck. It's something you should mention if you're trying to put it into a tier 2 deck. Of hey, I opened this Vamp tutor. It's the only one I have, and I want to play it in this deck because it's the only deck I have that has these colors. Fine, great. I don't personally, I don't care. Let's sit down. Let me pick a deck that I can play that I won't like just steamroll your behind, but hopefully can hang. So that's kind of how I've always gone about the game. Let's continue forward though with the tier 3 or bracket 3, which is upgraded. These decks are souped up and ready to play beyond the strength of your average pre-constructed deck that you can buy off your shelf at your local game store. They are full of carefully selected cards with work having gone into figuring out the best card for each slot. The games tend to be a little bit faster as well as ending a turn or two sooner than your core 2 decks. This also is where players can begin playing up to 3 cards from the Game Changer list, amping up the decks even further in their power. Of course, it doesn't have to have any Game Changers to be a bracket 3. Many decks are more powerful than a pre-constructed deck even without them. These decks should generally not have any 2-card infinite combos that can happen deeply in about the first 6 or so turns of the game, but it is possible the long game could end with one being deployed, even out of nowhere. So, kind of clarifying that a little bit, like, they're not expecting a infinite combo turn, the first 6 or so turns, but let's face it, people can lie, and they could have one and just be sitting on it and go, oh no, it's turn 7, bleh, I win. It happens. Unfortunately, it does. It really does. People are just not fun sometimes. I mean, if you got an infinite combo like that, again, just be honest with me. Tell me you're running infinites, and I'll get something that hopefully can hang with what you got going on. And if it doesn't, well then I guess I'll bring out the big gun next time, and we'll end it that way. So let's go to bracket 4, or tier 4, I'm going to call it, with optimized. And it is time to go wild. Bring out your strongest decks and cards. You can expect to see explosive starts, strong tutors, cheap combos that end games, mass land destruction, or a deck full of cards off the Game Changers list. This is high-powered Commander, and games have the potential to end quickly. The focus here is on bringing the best version of the deck you want to play, but not one built around a tournament metagame. It's about shuffling up your strong and fully optimized deck, whatever it may be, and seeing how it fares. For most Commander players, these are the highest power Commander decks you will interact with, and they're not wrong. There are no restrictions here other than the ban list, so aside from like your very, very strong CDH decks, you're probably not going to see anything much stronger than these. I do want to say that I think one of the caveats that they should have included in this is the synergy, because you can have none of the Game Changers in the deck and still have a very, 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 very solid synergy deck and wipe the floor with everybody. I mean, my experience has shown me in my years of playing this game, the better your synergy, the better your capability to have a backup plan or two for your commander or your overall game plan and strategy, the tougher your deck is going to be to beat, and the more likely you are to be the arch enemy. So that's something I think they kind of left out of all this, is you got to look at your synergy too. Because when you go down here to CEDH, the highest, most badass version of the deck, it is this. This is the high power with a very, very competitive and metagame focused mindset. And mindset is a key part of that description. Much of it is in how you approach the format and deck building. It's not just no holds bars where you play your most powerful cards like in tier 4. It requires careful planning, there is a care paid into following and paying attention to a metagame and tournament structure, and no sacrifices are made in deck building as you try to be the one with the win for the pod. Additionally, there is special care and attention paid to behavior and tableside negotiation, such as not making spite plays or concessions that play into the tournament structure. CEDH, or Competitive Commander, and similar names, is where winning matters more than self expression. You might not be playing your favorite cards or commanders, as pet cards are usually replaced with cards needed for the meta, but you're playing what you think will be most likely to win. What that boils down to is we're not playing the Steel Hellkite because we like dragons and, I'm the Buddha dragon, so here's a dumb dragon for the deck. No. No. Not CDH. CDH, that dragon gets the whole jik and yoink and yeet, whatever you want to call it. He gets thrown into the bin, and we are instead playing a 0, 1, 2, or 3 mana, possibly, removal spell, draw spell, protection spell. And if it's a creature, it better have one wild of an impact. So when you're playing CEDH, you're looking to just drop bombs. You're looking to drop cards that make everybody go, ooh, do I counter this or do I wait for what else could be coming? Do you win? I don't know. Do you win? Oh, I don't know. That's what CDH is like. You're playing for the win, and that's all there is. You're not playing your pet cards. You're just there to get the W or stop somebody else from getting it. So they're kind of talking about they're talking about like a lot of the game changer cards here. So let's kind of get through this a little bit. This creates a nice half step between the banned list and showing up everywhere. It also really helps ensure that you know what cards we have our eyes on, so cards won't feel like they're banned out of nowhere in the future. It also gives us a tool to unban cards to try them or nudge around cards without a ban needed. If a card shows up and is frustrating at casual tables but fine by competitive players, we can add it to the Game Changers list in an update to get it to the right place. Similarly, if times or opinions change, a card on this list looks fine in casual play now, we could take it off. It's not unlike how Canadian Highlander adjusts point values every now and then, which, by the way, I really enjoy Canadian Highlander. It's 100 cards singleton, just like playing Commander, only you don't have a Commander. It's 20 life, and it's a ride. You'd have to watch some of it to understand what I'm saying, but that's for another time. So now to be clear, most of these cards are unlikely to be banned, so you shouldn't go trading away your Gaia's Cradles in concern. However, it is a clear signal for players to know that these cards indicate a different kind of play and that others might prefer not to play against them. We all discussed a lot of what we felt should be on this list to make it useful but manageable, and ended up at exactly 40 cards. That number being round is just coincidence. This list doesn't always have to be 40 cards. And here's the initial list of what they're going to call the Game Changer list for your brackets. So, for our whites, we have Drannith Magistrate, Enlightened Tutor, Serra's Sanctum, Smothering Tithe, and Trouble in Pairs. Pretty good list of cards for white. Oh lord, blue is so bad. Cyclonic Rift, Expropriate, Force of Will, Fierce Guardianship, Rhystic Study, Thassa's Oracle, Urza, Lord High Artificer, Mystical Tutor, and Jin-Gitaxias, the Core Augur. Yeah, that's a pretty good start for a blue list. Yeah. Going on to black. I don't really agree with the first one, but, you know, we'll see. But it's Bolas's Citadel, Demonic Tutor, Imperial Seal, Opposition Agent, Tergrid, God of Fright, Vampiric Tutor, and Ad Nauseam. So far, in case you're wondering, pretty much most of these cards are like CEDH level. I would actually probably have to say that you don't really see Serra's Sanctum very much in CEDH. Smothering Tithe, maybe. Troubles in Pairs, maybe. Expropriate, I don't think I've ever seen it in a CEDH game. So that's just a couple of caveats, I would say. Red, poor Red. Red needs more love, guys. It only has Jessica Will and Underworld Breach. Great cards, but sad face, yo. Green needs more, in my opinion. Like, green needs a lot more, in my opinion. But green has Survival of the Fittest, Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger, Gaia's Cradle. Food Chain. Hello? Food Chain should be on this list, and I'm a Food Chain player. Food Chain should be on this list. Just saying. Allosaurus Shepherd probably should be on that list too. What do I know? Going to our multicolored, we have Kinnan, Bonder Prodigy, Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow, Winota, Joiner of Forces, and the Grand Arbiter, Augustine the Fourth. Grand Arbiter and Yuriko, I don't see them as game changers. Yuriko's strong, but it's only as strong as the deck builder, and if they actually know what they're doing. Grand Arbiter is just a taxing creature. I mean, come on. Really, guys? There's way worse that you could put there. Like, I don't know, Kenrith Returned King? Why didn't you just take, like, the top 100 cards from, like, CEDH and just slap them here? Because that would have been better. Anyways, moving on to the colorless cards, we have Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, the One Ring, the Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale, Trinisphere, Grim Monolith, Lion's Eye Diamond or LED, the Mox Diamond, Mana Vault, and the Glacial Chasm. Heads up, if you haven't watched the previous video, you might should, so you understand why the Tabernacle and the Glacial Chasm are actually here. Just a fair warning, go back and watch my video. I promise it's good. But a lot of this you'll see typically in like higher power CDH decks, so especially LED. LED, Underworld Breach, just. And then we go to like a very quick recap of everything that they have going on here. They're trying to get some testing done. I think they're going to unleash this at the Chicago Magic Con that is coming up here, I think next weekend at the current time of filming this. Should be February 21st. The Command Zone, if you haven't heard of them before, they are going to be the host of a really cool Commander game that's basically live. They record it live, and they've done a couple of these. They're a smash hit, and they're always fun to watch. The guests there and everything, like they're really, really cool. Then we're going down to see like who all is on the Commander format panel. Attack on Cardboard, Bandit, Benjamin Wheeler, really good deck builder. Charlotte Sable, Daquan Watson, Deco, Greg Sablan, Itetu, Josh Leaquite, one of our esteemed Command Zone hosts and creators. Christian Gregory, Lua Stardust, another very good Commander player. She plays a lot of CEDH, and she's very good. She's most known for Winota, though. Olivia Gobert Hicks, always a great person to see on her show with her boyfriend, Brian Kibler, Commander at Home, or her good friend, Ailey, with their Elder Dragon Hijinks. She is just a delight. At least she is on video. I would love to meet her in person. I think she's just a delight. And she's a cosplayer. She does great work. Rachel Weeks, another person from the Command Zone. She's been on a few other shows and stuff like that. She has recently landed onto the Command Zone, I think as of late last year or maybe the year before. Very insightful Magic player. Very, very knowledgeable and builds very good, very interesting decks. Rebel Lily. Rebel is another very, very, very good CEDH player. Don't let Rebel fool you. They know what they're doing, and they are very good at what they do. Scott, Laura B, probably. And then we have Tim Willoughby and Toby Elliott. I do apologize if any of you watch this and I butchered your name. If it makes you feel any better, people butcher my last name too. So, sorry. But that's just a list of the people that we have to thank for speaking for us, speaking for the people about trying to devise a system. Because before this, there was a grading system of 1 through 10, and most people would go, "Oh, my deck's a 7," and they weren't really being honest. And it's hard not to be because what I consider like overpowered, over the top 7 might only be like a 60. You might be like, well, that's it. Shoot, I'm used to being dead by turn 5. We're turn 8 and I'm still alive. This is not a 7, guys. And what somebody could say, oh well, it's like a 5 or 6. It typically would be a lot higher, close to 7.5 to 8. So that's why we came up, or they came up, I should say, with this bracket or tier set. So you don't have to use this. You can still keep doing a rule 0 conversation with your pod and make sure everybody's okay with things. But it's advised to let's dabble in the waters a bit. Let's give it a try. So a lot of the things on the game changer list are on here for obvious reasons. Like you have your best in class tutors. They are cheap, they are efficient, and they do work. So that's why they're on the game changer list. Anything that locks out your opponent is on the tier list, like Trinisphere, Opposition Agent, Draenith Magistrate. Your extremely powerful and fast mana pieces are on there, such as Ancient Tomb, Mana Vault, Chrome Mox, Mox Diamond. If it was still legal, Mana Crypt would certainly be here. Overwhelming advantage either in mana or um, card drawing capability tends to be on the list as well. I still don't understand why Bolus Citadel is here though. Well, I guess it's on there because you could pay life and look at the top card, but I mean it's still not. I don't think that it's worth being on a game changer list, but I didn't do the testing, so maybe I'm wrong. They say right here that a star or a bullet is Vorinclex, the Voice of Hunger, is an extension of mana denial restriction. It doesn't fully fit our description given and is a little nicer than other mass land denial cards, but we still wanted to keep this card clear from the lower brackets. You know, if you don't know what a Vorinclex Voice of Hunger does, here you go. So first of all, it is ridiculously high mana cost, but you're in green, so you should be able to get this pretty quick. He's at 7/6, Phyrexian Praetor with Trample. And it says, whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana of any type that land produced. But, whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, that land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So you have to lock your lands down for a turn every time you use them. That's why he's on the list. And they just kind of keep going through and explaining a little bit more of why certain cards are on our list here. But I mean, come on. Why isn't Sol Ring on there? Everybody can get a Sol Ring, guys. I'm tired of somebody saying, ban the Sol Ring, screw the... Guys, just stop. It's a Sol Ring. Get over yourself. You don't like it? Play ways to blow it up. My wife does. She enjoys blowing up Sol Rings. So right here, if you think of something that you think should be on the uh, game changer list, send them the feedback. Let them know. Let them know on my page. Let them know on other content creator pages. Comments, things that you think should be on that list. And let's help build this list and optimize this list. And maybe we can make this into something viable. Then they go kind of like what exactly means if your commander is on the game changer list. And then they have the 5 brackets. They're explaining why they did the 5 brackets. So something that they want to clarify here is like, my best deck has no game changers and is technically a bracket 2 deck. Should I play it there? Well, let's look at the deeper part of this. You should play where you think you belong based on the descriptions. For example, if your deck has no holds barred power despite playing 0 of the game changer cards, then you should probably play in bracket 4. So what they're saying is, if you could put your foot on the pedal to the metal and go, you probably don't need to hang with guys that are playing pre-con or barely upgraded pre-con. You're just gonna steamroll the table. Now you can be a pub stomper, but someone like me is gonna step up and knock you back down. And they kind of go into more detail about why they chose everything. So you could click on this yourself. I'll link this in the description below, and you can kind of go into more details about all this and kind of judge for yourself. I will say something that's really neat about this recent announcement, which I think um, I don't know about other places, but I know that Moxfield, not a sponsor or an affiliate, but a really fun website for me personally to use, they've already added this. So look at my previous video. Our Linden, the budget life gain deck. Look right here. Check this out. Moxfield already has this. They literally check every card in your deck already, and they say that this is similar to the average pre-constructed commander deck. You should not expect to see 2-card infinite combos in this bracket. Extra turn spells should appear in low qualities and not intended to chain in succession or be looped. The tutors you see here should generally be sparse and specific. So if it looks like they actually went through the deck as well. We have no game changers, no mass land denial. We have up to 3 extra turn spells, which we don't have, and we can have up to 3 non-land tutors, which we don't have. I don't remember. So that's pretty neat that they've already kind of put this in on our Moxfield. But I'm going to go to my actual profile here. As you can see, yeah, my baby Miriam, she's a tier 4. I have oh yeah, it does, because here are, I have a very good description of what a tier 4 deck looks like, and then we have a list. I'm running Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, Mana Vault, Cyclonic Rift, the One Ring, and Fierce Guardianship, as well as Sarkhan's Triumph for a non-land tutor. And that is what helps push this deck up and over the edge. Looking back, let's look at the post-ban CEDH. I think my horns are showing. Sorry. But this is my big baddie. And oh lordy. Yeah, we've got a whole list where I can't even see it all. So we are the whole list. Oh, wow, cool. I didn't know it did that. So now you can see everything that makes this deck so powerful. The Monk's Diamond, Adnos, Chromox, Imperial Seal, Mana Vault, the Vampiric Tutor, Ancient Tomb, Demonic Tutor, the One Ring, Grim Monolith, Wish Claw, Talisman, Imperial Recruiter, Imperial Seal, Vamp Tutor, Gamble, Finale of Devastation, Demonic Tutor, Diabolic Intent, Unstable Avarice, Worldly Tutor, Entomb, and Green Sun Zenith. They all combine to push my CEDH deck to its true CEDH power. Pretty cool, guys. Pretty cool. I mean, I still don't know how I feel about the bracket system, but I think that's pretty cool that Moxfield, and I hope other deck building websites, have already kind of added this into uh their library, their repertoire, and you can get an idea. you can even just see right here, like Corvold, my old Corvold deck, it's still sitting at a 5 because I run a lot of the same stuff in here that I run in my Cross deck. That's pretty neat, guys. Pretty neat, I think. Just a quick look through some of the decks I have here that if you see one, let me know. And we'll do a deck video about it. Most of mine sit about a 2, maybe a 3. I like building some kind of janky fun things. So that's what we got, guys. Um we we have a lot to talk about. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe. If you already have, I thank you. I love you. Please continue to do so. Leave me some comments. Um, let's get talking about this subject a little bit. And by the way, don't hesitate. Don't be afraid. Let me know if there's a commander or like a certain way to play maybe a couple of different cards pieced together that you're like, man, I want to do like A plus B, but I don't know about it being good or how it works. Talk to me. Let me vibe with you, and I'll probably put something together. A good friend of mine does that, and well, I come up with some pretty off the wall things with him, and he's like, "Why do I give you such beautiful, horrible ideas?" I go, "I don't know, because you like to watch the world burn." So please, 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 comment, like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Remember, I've been your Buddha Dragon, so rub that belly for mana, and may your games be nothing but luck. Until the next time, peace out.